to nobody from nothing. The simple suggestion that there's just what's appearing to happen. There's just energy, aliveness. You know, we can use some different words, but essentially it's beyond words. We can only point towards it. The sense that the commonly held sense that there is a separate individual you is illuminated here as being artificial. The sense that there's a world out there and a you who is in the body, who negotiates their way through the world and relates to other people and has a life and lives that life, is being illuminated as being a story, an artificial reality. Actually, all there is what's appearing to happen, which is just aliveness, which is beyond knowing and beyond understanding. It's so immediately just whatever's appearing to happen. It can't be known or understood. So what's being shared this evening is not something that you can grasp or know or understand. It can't be approached, it can't be obtained, and it can't be escaped from, because it's all it is already. It's very simple, it's very ordinary, simply aliveness. So there seems to be questions then when this is shared, and that's the way this kind of works. So that sense of being separate, lots of questions come up about what's being shared, and that sense of being separate can energetically collapse. It may do, it may not, I don't know. And all of this is just energetic. It's not about an answer to a question or knowing or getting anything. There's nothing to be obtained, nothing to be known. But, you know, if there's a question there, let's see what happens.
Hi, Kenneth.
Hiya.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
Can you talk about cause and effect? Okay, I won't give examples, but can you just talk about a bit about cause and effect and how that doesn't exist?
Well, it's an appearance, so it certainly appears to be. It appears real, and what's being suggested is it's simply that. It's just simply an appearance. So that's the lived reality. When you feel like a person is it's a lived sense of having a body, being in the body, and having a life, and life happening to you and to other people and around you. So there's a living in a sense of things happening in a very causal manner. So it's very linear and it's very causal, and it's one thing and then another thing, and that's the way it appears.
So things just, if I go to a funeral, for example, and there's sadness because someone has passed away,
Yeah.
Isn't that cause and effect? There's crying.
Oh yeah, there's in the story that there is cause and effect in the story. You can, it's a logical, linear thing.
Mm-hmm.
And what's being suggested is that that linear movement is actually just a story. It's just in the story. That's all. That it's, you could say it's real and unreal, but it's the unreal part that's been illuminated here. And actually what's being suggested here really is that this is nothing appearing to happen. So that's completely beyond understanding.
I know.
And so nothing appearing to happen appears as going to a funeral. It appears as that somebody died. It's nothing appearing to happen. That's the differentiation. That's beyond the mind. The differentiation is between feeling like a person who has a life and lives in life and things are really happening. You know,
Yes.
one thing happens, then another thing happens, then another thing happens, then another thing happens, and there's that lived sense of moving through time and space. It feels absolutely real. And then the seen by nobody that there's only aliveness or energy, and that it's all an appearance, and that it's nothing appearing to happen.
So
It's energy appearing as the death of somebody, energy appearing as a funeral, energy appearing as sadness.
So if just for the Kenneth character,
Yeah.
if you would be at a funeral and you experience sadness, you don't say that's because I'm sad because
we can stop right there, really, because that's the first point, is that there would just be sadness. There may just be sadness. So
and that's
there
not
would just be
because of
sadness, as opposed to Kenneth, who feels sad. And so that's like fundamentally that's what's being shared. That's what's being suggested here. There's
so
just
all
what's
there
appearing
is
to happen.
so all that appears to happen is sadness, and it's not.
In the example that you gave
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
you were saying, so Kenneth would so if you experience sadness, and the reason I was jumping straight in
yeah,
is to it's a very good example of what I'm saying,
yeah.
what's being suggested is that it's that collapse of somebody who experiences sadness or something. It's just that there's just sadness.
It's just
That
sadness.
there's no longer this kind of intermediary me who's filtering everything and knows sadness and feels sadness and has experiences too. The person, it's the individual that has experiences.
And the Kenneth character doesn't think, oh, I'm sad now because I'm at a funeral. That doesn't come up there.
Well, I don't know what would come up. I have no idea.
I
You
know
know,
Irish
if I was at,
funerals
if
are a
like,
lot of drinking.
huh?
I know at Irish funerals you like to drink a lot. Maybe some other emotions would come up. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a dated stereotype at this stage, to be honest with you. But uh, you know, a funeral, like, I mean, it's this, everything that's appearing to happen is registered the same as it was before. So you don't, nobody would have to tap you on the shoulder and say, you do realize you're not at the cinema, you're at a funeral. You know, like, I mean, it's the same. You know that there's a funeral. You know that um whose funeral you're at, I guess. You know, all of the information is still there, but that sense of being somebody who is having an experience is no longer there. So there's just aliveness, and then that may be appearing as attending a funeral, or it may be attending a football game. It could be whatever. It doesn't, whatever is appearing to happen. Do you
Yeah,
follow what I'm saying?
I am saying I get that. That's probably not, but it's that cause and effect that somehow I'm trying to, I know I can't understand this with the mind, but that's something I'm
Oh no,
struggling with.
it's totally fine, and that's why I always say at the beginning, like, if there's some, this is about, it's not about an answer to questions,
Yeah.
but it is about very much, if there's a question there, it's there to be asked, and it's about that energetically a sense of asking a question, and then an answer appearing from nothing. But essentially, what the question you're asking about cause and effect is, that's really probably as well as I can answer it, even though it's very unsatisfactory. Like that, it's just an appearance. There's not some you know, intellectual kind of place you can arrive at where you can just go, oh, okay, you know. Well, maybe you can, because there are, intellectually, there are people who understand that causality is just a story. They
I
can
remember you
they can
said
explain that
once,
too, but I've not really huge interest in it. But
No, I remember you said once, you gave an example that if you drive away and you don't look left and right and you get into an accident, that there's no cause and effect there. The accident didn't happen because the character didn't look right. I don't know if you remember that example, but I was going like, but if I don't look the right way and I drive off, I'm hit by a car, then that's cause and effect, isn't it? But again, I might be trying to understand it too much.
Yeah, I'd say you're getting a bit hung up on it, and I'm not sure what example I gave, but it probably doesn't. It sounds a bit. It would have been a bit different, I think. I think I've sometimes said about that it's an accident. Yeah, it's something that appears to happen. But then I was talking more about, I think it was more about the bus, and that if you had 50 people, you'd have 50 different stories about what happened. And then stories would change over time as well. And it was just an example of everyone living in their own reality, really. But yeah, there appears to be cause and effect, and it appears real. And just as there appears to be time, like we're very much talking about the same thing when we talk about time. And so time for people is real, it's real. It's a real thing that exists. It's simple as that. So if it feels real and that's the way it is, then that's what's happening. Like, I mean, all that can be done here is a suggestion that time is real and unreal, but you don't see the unreal part. No. It's real in its appearance. Like, it's real that at 9 o'clock, we're sitting down to have a chat.
Yeah.
And that people knew it was at 9, and then they checked depending on where they were in the world, and double checked, because Kenneth usually sends out wrong information with plus ones and minus this and all that, and sometimes it's wrong. So it's just something in the story. It's a functionality, but it doesn't feel like that. It's a real thing to the person. It's real. So when it feels like that, it feels like that. It's the same, really. The person lives in the real.
Yeah.
The person lives in the real, and what's being suggested here is that everything is nothing, and nothing is everything. So it's everything is real and unreal, really, you could say, which is totally beyond understanding.
I know.
Like, this is really, it really is beyond understanding. Oh yeah, and totally trying to understand it is just what appears to happen. It's not.
No,
that doesn't mean anything.
I'm trying to understand it.
Oh yeah, okay.
It doesn't. The mind goes.
Oh yeah, if you just go blank, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not even trying to understand it. No, I'm just. No, But anyway, I won't take up much of your time. Thank you for answering that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, we have Storybot.
Hey, Kenneth.
Oh yeah.
Hey, I'm new here in the Zoom, but I've seen YouTube videos of yours.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Yeah, thank you. So it used to be very triggering every time you say, and that's just what appears to be happening.
Okay.
Not anymore, though. For a long time, that was very triggering.
Yeah,
but
you wouldn't be the first to be annoyed by that one.
Yeah, it was like, what are you talking about? Blah, blah, blah. But no, like, I feel like I understand a little more the time. There's no past, because I have memories, right, of being a kid, and so I think I know there was a past. But knowing doesn't really mean anything, because it's just a story. You can forget details. But anyways, it's all just appearing in this moment, whether it's a memory of the past as a kid eating some food. Yeah. You're remembering that now, and it's all just what is arising now. And so we really don't know for sure. You really can't say for sure if we ever had a past or a past moment a second ago. It definitely seems like it.
It feels like that. It's a lived reality for the individual, that there's a thing called the past. You're in a thing called the present, and I'm going to move into a thing called the future. It feels real.
Right. But I can't say any of that.
Yeah, but even when you logically, that kind of falls apart when you really look at it, because If where, like, how long does this thing called the present last then? Like, how long, you know? And then that doesn't really stand up to scrutiny very well, because it's like, well, you know, you can't really put a time on it, because where is the boundary? And the reason you can't is because there is no boundary.
Yeah.
And it's very obvious when you see it then. And so there's no past, there's no future, and there's no present. There's time is just a story. It's an aspect of the story. And that's it then. And there's just what's appearing to happen. And as you said, what could appear to happen is a thought or a memory of having ice cream when I was 6, wherever, somewhere.
Yeah.
And then that's just what's happening.
Yeah. So like with the funeral example, it seems like you're saying if you're at a funeral, maybe sadness would arise, and then maybe thoughts would arise that describe why you're sad, or trying to figure out why you're sad, but those are all just arising in that moment.
Well, it's just what's appearing to happen. Yeah.
It's just what's appearing to
Because
happen in
I
that
think
moment.
that
or
lady was
whatever.
talking more about thoughts about, would you know why you're sad or something. Like, so it's very simple. It's just, there's just sitting down, and there's words, there's speaking, and that's just energy, aliveness. And what can be seen is that's all there is. It's just, that's all there is. It's just aliveness. Whether that's a funeral or now sitting on a chair, it may appear as a funeral, or it may appear as walking the dog or whatever. And it's just all energy. And it's the same as when you were talking about the past and all that, and we're saying there's no boundary. There's clearly no boundary then on anything, because how could
you
there
can't
be?
nail one down.
Because there is no, all there is energy. And when it's seen by nobody, that sense of that lived, contracted, energetic sense of feeling separate can
Kind of like
be no
loosen up
more.
or melt a
It
little
can,
bit.
whatever word you want. Like I'd often say collapse.
Collapse.
Difficulty with saying collapse then is, or it doesn't matter. The difficulty with any of it is, it sounds like something happens. And that's why what's being pointed out clearly is that nothing happens. It's the collapse. It's an apparent collapse, because it's not even real, the sense of being separate anyway. So that's why you'll often hear when people are talking in this area of, well, nothing really happened. It was just that, just seeing that there's just what's appearing to happen. And there was always just what's appearing to happen. And that sense of being a me was always a story or a dream, or so there was never really a real me to fall away anyway.
Yeah, that's the trippy part. It's like, you know, people are like, what do you mean nothing happened? Obviously a day ago you were this, and now you kind of seem a little different today, but no,
it's
that makes sense,
impossible.
man.
Yeah, it's totally impossible. Like, I mean, the individual will just come at this from a point of trying to understand something that happened to a speaker. So Kenneth is currently apparently the speaker. So it's totally logical that anyone tuning into this would want to know, well, what happened to you? Is it interesting to me? If it is, I want to know more. If it isn't, then goodbye. Put on Netflix, whatever. But if it somehow draws people, if it resonates, then the logical thing is, well, I want to, what happened to you? And then this is very frustrating for the individual.
Yes.
Well, it's not more than frustrating, actually. It's very confronting, because it's clearly illuminating that there is no you. There never has been. So that sense of being a you is not going to be too pleased about that. Yeah,
I understand the free fall now, because it's just seen more and more that nothing makes sense, and it doesn't make sense.
No.
There's nothing to hold on to, and then everything's still happening.
Yeah.
And my mind wants to even know how to stay here in this not now, but that's just what's happening.
That's also just what's appearing to happen.
It's crazy. I don't know. Thank you, though.
Thank you. I don't either. Thanks. Thanks. Nice to speak to you.
Yeah, good to talk.
Yeah. Hi, Yamas.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, in this energy there is no problem. But I still think that I have a problem. Can you say something about that?
Yeah, that's that's what's happening then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you say in this energy, there's no problem. What do you mean?
Yeah. Andreas told me that there is no problem. And often I still thinking that there is a problem.
Okay, yeah. So that's, yeah, I mean, it's if you feel there is a problem, then that's what's appearing to happen. And it could appear that there is a problem.
But from wholeness, or from, I don't know how you can call it, from there is no problem.
No, there's just energy. There's just what's appearing to happen. Problems are an appearance. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Yasmin.
Hi, Kenneth. How are you?
Oh, yeah, good.
I don't know if I have a question, but so there's no one really saying anything anymore. Everything kind of is what it is. Bad, good. I feel like I want to throw up, like my stomach is just dropping all the time. Like there's no, it can't be any other way. Thoughts of it being any other way just they don't occur anymore. But it does, I understand this free falling because anything could happen. I don't even know what I'm saying. I haven't watched Non Duality for like 2 weeks now, or like, I don't even care about getting non duality. There's no such thing. I don't know. I don't really know what's happening, but it doesn't matter anymore, like to watch.
Yeah. Oh, of course not. Of course it doesn't matter. There's no such
Yeah,
thing as non-duality. Yeah.
There's like nothing to get because that energy has died.
Okay.
There's nowhere to go but this. But I don't know why I'm on the call today.
Well,
But I feel
you're not though. Is the thing. It's just what's appearing.
Yeah.
It's also just what's appearing.
So that sense of I'm not is not clear for me, right? It's just
Well,
what's
when I say
appearing to
you're not
happen.
on the call, what I mean is like there's just what's appearing to happen. So what's appearing to happen is you and you're talking and Kenneth's talking and whatever, but all of that, like the call, the Zoom and everything, it's all a story. It's just an appearance. And there's no you there that's on it, that's doing anything or speaking, or there's just speaking.
Like I've had glimpses where things like that happen, but I don't live in that space all the time. I don't even want to say to you like, can I get to that space, because I don't care. There's a lack of, there's no care. It is what it is. Everything, bad, good, horrible. There's no one even speaking about it. There's no one in the brain saying anything about it. So there's just no point of even watching. There's nowhere to go. And it feels like super like depressing this morning, like because my life is not like the best life. So, but I'm still saying my life, but it feels like it's just what is happening. There's nothing to say, I don't know. I'm just rambling. So yeah, I guess that's all I have to say.
There you go. Well, lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
can there be an apparent gradual falling away of the person, or is it immediate? Also, well, there's two parts, so I'll just answer that first. So it's timeless, so everything is outside of time, but it can appear to be in time. So it could appear to be gradual. It could appear to be that there's kind of feel less real, and then it could be that it just plays out like it plays out. So it could still appear to be gradual, but it's always immediate because it's always timeless, because there is only the appearance of time. So it could, in the same way that it sometimes feels like it can be a process almost of being less and less there and feeling less and less like an individual. And then if there is no longer a sense of being separate, then it's very clearly seen it wasn't actually a process, but it felt like that. Also, is the word energy synonymous with what has been called no thing, absolute, beloved, God, source? Yeah, all of them words are fine. Like energy, I do say energy interchangeably. Like that's what I mean when I say energy is nothing, no thing, being everything. Energy. God is God's our little rascal, isn't she? You know, I just leave her out of it. Just too confusing, you know. I mean, it's people just have the objectivize something as a thing. There is no thing called God. There's no higher anything. So that's what I would say. And then people say, well, when you say energy, why not just say, well, someone else means God? But usually if you dig into it a bit, they have really kind of some idea or concept of an object or a thing called God. There you go. Hi, Jory.
Hey, Kenneth. Nice to see you.
You too.
So I don't know if you have talked much about no separation, but I've been thinking about different kinds of seeking, as like an antidote to suffering, right? And I was thinking about like different negative emotions that are sometimes experienced, and that seeking was to avoid the negative emotions. But now I'm starting to think like, no, it's not that. It's like the suffering is just, I don't know. I mean, is just separation. That's the suffering, and
yeah,
nothing
it's
else
a
is
bit,
suffering.
it's the sense that there's somebody who has a negative emotion. That's the thing. It's the
Yeah,
sense of separation. It's the sense of being somebody who has emotions, who is speaking, who hears, who sees, who touches, who smells. It's the me. That's that sense of separation. That's what gives rise to a seeking or yearning. That's from this what's being suggested here.
yeah. So it's not having regret or feeling, let's say, inadequacy, or just any kind of whatever kind
Well,
of
like
negative.
there's some elements of some of that can kind of echo what's been said here as well. Like, I mean, the inadequacy or the unworthiness is from the sense of having lost wholeness. You know, there's no longer nothing being everything. There's me, and then so there's little me and there's the big world, so everything has kind of been lost, and there's an inherent kind of sense of unworthiness.
Yeah.
But listen, I mean, we could go through loads of different things, and that is this and comparing I mean, it's all very simple. It's very simple in the sense that what's being suggested here is that what's actually looked for, what's yearned for, paradoxically, incredibly, is simply what's appearing to happen.
Yeah.
That's it, you see. And that's lovely. That can sound great to the individual, yeah, but they don't really want that. That's no, because the apparent individual is just continually rejecting what is appearing to happen in favor of what might happen. So it's too ordinary, it's too simple, it's too obvious for the individual. That's the thing. So what is yearned for is indescribably ordinary, obvious, and already just whatever's appearing to be. And it's not about any kind of understanding of anything.
Yeah.
Nothing, no kind of understanding at all. You know, all of these things that go around about, you know, our past traumas and our this and our that, and we live in a loop of knowing, and we just continually feel that we can think our way out of the loop. You know, that's the way it feels, because we feel that by knowing that we get closer to things, and that's all that kind of apparent movement of this story of me just getting kind of bigger. And it's fine. There's nothing wrong with any of that. You know, it's just what does happen. Nothing wrong. Like, there's nothing wrong with knowing. It's the way that it's that sense of how we function as people, as individuals.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's this communication. There's just this suggestion from nothing that can resonate or not. That there's nothing to do. There's nothing to know. And there's actually no you that's listening to this. And there never has been. There's just what's appearing to happen.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Kenneth.
Thanks, Jory. You got me looking up gaslighting the last time we were talking. I said, I had to do a bit of research, because someone else was talking to me about it as well, and I thought I knew it, and I did largely understand it, but then it's an interesting one. It's one of these things that's been bandied around a lot.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's, you know, it's so interesting because, like, there's times when I confuse this message with a nihilistic thing.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that, you know, that like, if you say nothing matters, you know, a person could get depressed about that. But if nothing matters, then it's like you're free.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So like, this is simply a suggestion that people will hear as they hear. It's simple as that. And the other element to this is that there's nothing being asked of anybody at all. It's simply just a suggestion that there's just what's appearing to happen. There's nothing to know, there's nothing to get, and there's nothing being asked of anybody. Nobody's been asked to believe or not believe anything. And I think that when you were saying about the gaslighting and things, you know, I mean, essentially that's an abusive thing that we won't get into it now because it's taken on, people are using the term incorrectly, and they're anyway, whatever. So it's just it's an abusive an element of in abusive relationships, it's emotional abuse essentially, because you're continually cutting the legs from under someone's reality on purpose to emotionally abuse them, you know, to say, well, and it comes from that play in the 1930s and the film in the 1940s where he kept turning off the lights, he kept dimming the lights, and she kept saying, what's happening with the lights? And he said, what do you mean? There's nothing wrong with the lights. You losing your mind, you know. So that's essentially how what it came from. And then I mean, where this comes in is, it's not, you're not being said like your reality is not real, that it's a suggestion that there's the sense of being separate is artificial, that everyone is in their own reality, which they take to be absolutely real, and that there's actually just energy, which is just what's appearing to happen. So therefore, there's no attempt to take anybody's reality from them. Do you know what I mean? There's no attempt to cut the legs out from something in that way that the term was saying, you know what I mean? And that's very much the essence of this communication is that it's just it's agendaless, really, because you're not being asked to believe any of this. Like, you don't believe it. You're not being asked to do anything. You're not being asked to know anything. You're not being asked to believe anything, to not believe anything. Do you know? So it's just a sharing from nothing, and it can resonate and can it's all energetic. And when it does resonate, it can just be seen that there's just simply whatever's appeared to happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Exactly. Okay.
All right, Jory. Thanks.
Thank you.
Andy said, "Is time me?" Time is an aspect of feeling like a me. That's what I would say. So when you feel like an individual, time feels like a real and absolutely real thing. It's not a clock ticking on a wall. There's a thing called time, and there's a lived sense of that causal time and space, that sense of one thing after another and after another. Yeah. As opposed to there just being aliveness and what's appearing to happen. It's not possible to actually describe the difference. Hi, Storybot.
Hey, if anything, it seems like our thoughts and mind are gaslighting us to think we're real.
Yeah. I mean,
and we're a person in time.
Well, yeah, it's just what appears to happen, though. You know, I wouldn't
Yeah,
bring that term
gaslighting is
into
just
it
a
again.
word.
It's
Yeah,
just another
I wouldn't
word.
bring
Like,
that term into
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
oh, mother God. I mean, things have heated up these days, you know. Everything is
Oh
so
yeah.
polarized, and everyone's attacking everyone
Rawr.
so
Yeah.
much, and it's so ideological. It's just,
Yeah.
oh, there's a
It's
neurosis
confronting.
to it. It's
Yeah.
And then, you know, anybody says the wrong thing, you know, we'll hit the cancel button on you now. And it's all this. That's just what's appearing to happen. That's just what's appearing to happen. But so the what I would say is that the individual is just an appearance. That's all it is. It's not like the mind gaslighting itself or any of this kind of stuff. It's an energy that all there is energy, and that energy is a lived sense of separateness. That is a contracted reality for the individual who feels separate. And it doesn't mean anything because it's not right or wrong or anything. It's just an appearance. That's all it is. So the vast majority would report themselves to be, well, I am a person, it's my life, and blah, blah, blah. And that's just, it's just what appears to happen. That's all.
Yeah, the mind hates that. The mind hates it's not right or wrong.
Oh, yeah.
It hates this is just what's happening, and it's just what it is.
Totally. Yeah. It wants to, the
It's
meaning
upset.
maker wants to go somewhere with everything. Yeah.
My question actually for you was, what after you had this awakening, or for lack of better words for everything, after you had this awakening, what drove you to start sharing the message?
Oh, nothing at all. Like, I didn't have anything, and it
Like,
was
why did the message start being
explosiveness,
shared
but
from
no
you?
why at all.
From the character? Right,
Oh,
from the
yeah,
character.
but there's no why to anything, though. So there wouldn't be any why to me sharing the message either.
Like, you don't know.
There's
why.
there was just the energetically that explosiveness around it, and in that was the sharing. So it was always there. The sense of talking about this it was always there. It wasn't that there was this sense of being, Kenneth was gone, and then a while later there was this kind of interest in sharing it or whatever. It was all the same.
I don't understand that at all, but
so the sharing was the sense of being Kenneth was there. Kenneth felt like an individual that apparently collapsed, and in that collapse was the interest in sharing this.
Okay,
it all happened.
There we go.
You
and
know
that's
what
just
I mean?
what appeared.
That's just what
over
appeared
there,
to happen.
and it's
Yeah.
just what's
And it doesn't
apparently
mean
happening.
it doesn't mean anything. It could have just been, it could have been that there was no interest in sharing, and that's would have been what would appear to be happening.
Yeah, yeah. The curiosity is I'm familiar with these speakers who share, who are apparently awake or whatever. Yeah, but I haven't heard from anyone, and I know there's nobody. I haven't heard from anyone who isn't a speaker who may or may not be awake. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder what they go play guitar all day if that's just what it is. Cooking,
Well, I know quite a few people who don't feel like
running for
separate
president.
individual. Yeah, so I don't know. You know, well, you're not really gonna find too many of them, are they? Because you're not gonna find them speaking on the internet. So.
You're not gonna find them. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
not gonna be advertising themselves. I'm
No,
sure.
you know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I appreciate it.
I'm gonna get on and give my talk about how I don't give talks. You know, that wouldn't probably work out so well. So.
Right, right, and that's why I was curious. Why is that happening over there? What made
See,
the Kenneth character get on
but
and
I'm
start?
not though. You see, that's the
Yeah.
thing. It's just what's appearing to happen.
Right.
There's no sense here that I'm giving talks or
It's just what's happening.
it's just what's happening. Yeah. Like it has nothing to do with Kenneth. Like when people see that, then they see Kenneth is just a character. That's all. It's just no relevance. It doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, my mind's like bullshit. That's
Yeah.
bullshit. And then I'm here like, no, just what's appearing to happen. Woo wee. All right.
There
Thank
you
you,
go.
Kenneth.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Hi, Yasmin.
Hi. So there seems to be no, should have, could have, supposed to, any of those things. But when you say what the person, what someone's always longing for is what's appearing to happen. So you're saying whatever is appearing to happen without that me voice that is saying otherwise. That's what you're saying we all long for. Is that what you're saying? Because that storyteller, right, says this is wrong, this is right. I want more. I'm seeking whatever. It's always doing something, right? So what you're saying is what we long for is just what's appearing to happen. That means like straight up life without a story.
Well, yeah, but when I don't mean that that's the individual that's looking for that, because the individual is just a story who's just interested in being an individual. And that's why there's nobody being spoken to at these meetings.
Yeah, because
that's why there's
that
nobody.
is the story.
Yeah, so there's
Because,
nobody
yeah.
to speak to. There's just the sharing. And when I say that that's what's yearned for, it's not by you as in you, the individual, because you're the story. The individual can't hear any of this. The individual will just make something of this and da 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 da. But when there is that sense of separateness, so that sense of being an individual, what's yearned for is to not be separate.
Yeah, not to be talking, not to be storytelling, not to be
for there just to be
opposing.
like for a chair to just be life chairing, not me looking at a chair. It's if you want to try and get it very, very simple. It's that agitation of feeling that things are happening to me and that I'm sitting on the chair. I'm feeling this feeling of sadness. I'm thinking this thought, all of that. That's that artificial overlay. That's
So like I it's funny because
dissatisfying that's dissatisfying, fundamentally dissatisfying.
So I get all of that, and it seems like to be quieting down over here tremendously since our talks, but there's still like I'm it's like it's still an I here, even though like I believe like the stories have calmed down so much, but there's still like a sense of I'm sitting on the couch, not like I'm couching, like that there's still that. But there seems to be less of a care for it, but it's just like whatever's happening is happening, but it's still to me, there's still like a me. It's happening to me and nobody's saying anything here, but I know It's just what it's appearing to happen. So I'm just speaking for speaking's sake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah, so probably time for one more if someone has any kind of burning questions. No.
Kenneth,
Hi.
hi. Are you holding any live events or meetings?
Yeah, I thought I'd have it all kind of up on my website. July and August were busier than I thought they would be. I was basically going to do blended meetings in Galway quite regularly, maybe September, November. I wasn't sure about November because I might go go abroad to do a meeting in November, but there's an issue with the my venue in September, so I'm going to try and resolve that in the next day or two. And if I can't, then I'll have to do an online meeting in September, which will be in 2 weeks' time. I'll put some. It'll be my first kind of Saturday, Sunday one for a while. So figure out the times of that. Probably do maybe morning, afternoon. I'm not sure. And then the next thing that definitely is blended is October. I have the residential in October, and I will get out an email in the next 2 days because I've made a few small kind of tweaks to that, and there'll be an option to join just for the day, or you can come and you can have 3 nights accommodation, 2 3-course meals, and 4 days of meeting. So Thursday to the 20th to the 23rd of October in Ennistymon, which is in County Clare, close to Shannon Airport for people coming. So anyway, I'll send something out. I've been meaning to do this. It's kind of half fullish already, so I think I'm just happy enough with a small enough amount of people. So that's probably why I haven't put much effort into kind of getting it out there as much. So you'll be able to do the whole thing. So there's about 4 or 5 places left for the whole thing, and then you can come for I'm not sure about Sunday, but definitely Friday and Saturday. And there should be a Zoom option as well, but it'll only be one session, probably the afternoon. You can join on Zoom. So there you go.
But so is that already full, or because if I would come from abroad, so I would probably...
Yeah, no, it's not full. There's places for that. Yeah.
The one in October, the one that's...
Yeah, there's places for that. Yeah.
And you're going to send out information on...
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Lovely to see you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Kenneth.
guys.
Thank you, Kenneth.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Kenneth.
guys.
Thank
Take
you.
care. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.